Hello friends, now we are going to see about the theories of evolution, Lamarckism. The term biology was coined by Jean-Baptiste de Lamarck of France. So because of that case, the Lamarckism is very important, how the theory of evolution everything got evolved. Coming to the theories of organic evolution. The theories of organic evolution postulated that since life began on the earth, it has been continuous and later organisms has been derived from earlier forms by the inheritance of a variations either larger or smaller and induced either by the environment or by within the animals. Coming to the evolutionary process is considered to be very slow in action, difficulty to test experimentally because an evolutionary change will take into years, so some hundreds of years, so it is quite difficult to test it experimentally. Next, earlier notations about the evolution, how the earlier people has thought what is evolution. Coming to the primitive human races, the origin of man and animals are creative acts of the supernatural powers. Next, Aristotle. Each organism has been created separately, but that once created, the organism has been changed to some degree by a perfecting principle. Next, in the last century, so the Linnaeus, Cuvier, and these people has thought that species has been created separately. Next, so the theory of catastrophism, Cuvier. So the life has been created in many forms, wiped out by the various means, including the worldwide flood during the time of NOAH, replaced by the new forms differing somewhat from the former inhabitants, nothing but the higher types. Next, Buffon challenged the concept of special creation, nothing but the living organisms are easily changed by the environment, that any small change were accumulated from generations to generations to make the lateral changes, and that each animal in an ascending series resulted from the changes accumulated by the successive ancestors. Next, Lamarckism. So, the first general theory of evolution, outlined in 1802 and fully reported in 1809 by a Frenchman, Jean Baptiste de Lamarck. So, Jean Baptiste Lamarck proposed the theory of inheritance of acquired characters. So, you have to remind it very clearly, the theory of inheritance of acquired characters, and also popularly known as Lamarckism. So, the environment affects the shape and organization of animals. Frequent or continuous use develops and enlarges any organ. Nothing but because of the need, our organs has been developed or evolved. While by permanent disuse, it weakens and it finally disappears, like use and disuse principle. All acquisitions or losses brought through influence of the environment only, and hence through the use and disuse are preserved by reproduction. If we are using, it is being in the next offsprings it is being developed. If we are not using the next offsprings, it will be disappeared. So this is the theory of Lamarckism. And next, so coming to the theory of inheritance of acquired characters, so we have certain principles. Internal vital force, living organisms and their component parts tend to increase continually in size. Coming to use and disuse of an organisms, in an organ is being used constantly, it tends to become enlarged, whereas lack of use will result in degeneration. Effect of environment and new needs. So the production of new organ results from a new need and from the new movement which this need starts and maintains. Coming to inheritance of acquired characters. How the acquired characters has been inherited means modifications produced by the above principles during the lifetime of an individual will be inherited by the offsprings, with the result that changes are cumulatively over a period of time. Cumulative means together. Next, examples in support of Lamarckism is, so examples used by the Lamarck are long neck of the giraffe, disappearance of the limbs in the snake, webbed feet of the ducks, blindness of the moles, flat fishes, flightless birds, retractile claw of carnivorous mammals, speed of the deer, cave dwellers, emergent hydrophytes, dimorphism of submerged and aerial leaves in aquatic plants. So these are the acquired modifications by the living organisms. Coming to the example, elongated neck of giraffe. So initially we have seen that giraffe was being short necked. because of the shorter herbs and shrubs. Later, due to development of the higher plants and all, the elongation of neck in giraffe has been also takes place. This is according to Lamarck. Next, criticism of Lamarck. So, the first proposition of the theory does not have any ground because there is no vital force in organisms which increases their body parts. As regard the second proposition, the environment can affect the animal, but it is doubtful that new needs will form a new structures. The third proposition is the use and disuse of an organism is correct up to some extent. Okay. Next, the fourth proposition regarding the inheritance of acquired characters is disputed. So, Mendel laws of inheritance and Weismann's theory of continuity of germplasm. So, discarded the Lamarck's concept of inheritance of acquired characters. Now we are going to see about evidences against the inheritance of acquired characters. Weismann theory of continuity of germplasm. August Weismann, a German biologist, the main opposer of inheritance of acquired characters, nothing but the opposer of Lamarckism, the characters influencing the germ cells are only inherited. There is a continuity of germplasm, of protoplasm of the germ cells, but the somatoplasm or protoplasm of the somatic cells are not transmitted to the next generation. Hence, it does not carry the characters of next generation. It is simple that anything happened to our somatic cells. For example, a parent had an accident and it leads to a loss of his one hand. It will not acquire to the next offspring, right? If anything happened to his sperm or any egg cell of the parent, it is being transmitted to the next generation. For example, Down syndrome. For example, if any accident or any infection to the parent, which because of the environmental influences is not being transmitted through the generation to generation. Yeah, this gives a meaningful right. For example, cut off the tail of rats for as many as for 22 generations and allowed them to breed. But the tails of rat were being normal, never been born. So, but the tailless rat was being never born. Next, continuity of germplasm. Boring of the pinna. So, external ear and nose of an Indian woman was being never inherited to the next generations, right? The wrestler's power muscles was being not transmitted to the offsprings. European ladies will wear a tight waist garments in order to keep their waist slender, but their offsprings at the time of birth have a normal waist. Chinese women use it to wear iron shoes in order to have a small feet, but their children at the time of birth has always the normal feet. Yes. Circumcision of penis in the Jews and Muslims, but it is not inherited to the next generation. Dull progeny of the Nobel Prize winner cannot be explained by Lamarckism. Yes. And next, evidences in the favor of inheritance of acquired characters. There are certain favorism also for this. Coming to the evidences in the favorism of Lamarckism, formation of germ cells from somatic cells, vegetative propagation in plants and regeneration in animals. Coming to the effect of environment directly on germ cells, Tavers observations indicated that direct effect of environment on germ cells exposed the young developing potato beetle to extreme of temperature and humidity at the time of development of their reproductive organs. Coming to effect of radiation, Orbach et al. Obtained a number of mutation and chromosomal aberrations in Drosophila with the help of mustard gas. Next, evidences in the favor of Lamarckism. Agar. So, Agar reared water fleas in the culture of green flagellated and found that abnormalities were developed in their structures, right? Effect of chemicals. The change in the secretion of hormones result in the change of different parts of the body. Yeah. Guyer and Smith so took the solution of an eye lens of rabbit and inoculated in the same into the fowl. So the effect of change in environment, radish is a 2-year crop in cold country but completes its growth in 1 year in tropical areas, right? So based on the environment it has been changing the probabilities also. Next, neo-Lamarckism. So modified form of Lamarckism we call it as neo-Lamarckism. Neo means new. So propose that environment does influence an organism and changes its hereditary. At least some of the variations acquired by an individual can be passed into the offsprings, not always the somatic except because any germ cells has been happened. But in case of plants, the somatic variability is also being transferred to generation because of vegetative propagation. Internal vital force and appetency do not play any role in evolution. Only these variations are passed on to the offsprings, which also affect the germ cells or where the somatic cells gives rise to germ cells. Evidences in the favor of inheritance of acquired characters supports the neo-Lamarckism. Yes, right. It is not only a favorism or criticism. So, in certain things, it is been favorism of the Lamarck. In certain cases, there will be a criticism, but overall the neo-Lamarckism is being favorable to how it is being modified. So in certain cases, how it is being criticized in certain cases. When it comes to animals and all, Lamarckism is being criticized to know the evolution. In certain cases, the plants, it is being favorable, right? So it is very important to know how the evolution has been acquired. I hope you got to understand what is the inheritance of acquired characters or Lamarckism. So thank you very much. Please do like, share, subscribe to my channel. And if you have any doubts related to the topic, please put me in the comment box. So I am reading the line to line because to make to understand the concept and not to change the wording and all, because of that case only. In the next topics and all, mostly I will give a pictorial representation of biology. So thank you.